The room fell silent the moment he said it. So loud, so clear, so humiliating that even the waiter stopped mid-step. "This is my daughter's husband." My father-in-law announced into microphone. He says he's a teacher, but we all know that's more a hobby than a career. 320 people, doctors, surgeons, hospital executives, turned to look at me. Some snickered. My wife's face went pale, and he just smirked, proud of his little joke. He had no idea that in exactly 48 hours, his entire reputation would crack like glass. Let me take you back. My father-in-law, Dr. Raymond Sloan, had never liked me. According to him, a man who wasn't pulling six figures by 30 wasn't ambitious. I was a high school history teacher, something I was proud of, but to him, I was a charity case his daughter settled for. At home, he'd whisper things like, "Don't worry, honey. One day you'll convince him to get a real job." At gatherings, he'd introduce me as the educator of sorts. And at my wedding speech, he toasted to my daughter for being patient with whatever this is. My wife hated it. I tried to ignore it. But when he used a mic at his biggest annual event to humiliate me in front of 320 distinguished guests, that was the moment something inside me snapped. But here's what he didn't know. I wasn't just a teacher. I was also the curriculum developer behind a series of online history courses that had quietly exploded over the past year. One video I made on ancient warfare strategy had gone viral on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. My online enrollment skyrocketed. Teachers all over the country were using my modules. And last month, I signed a major educational partnership deal worth more than his yearly hospital bonus. I didn't brag about it. I didn't act rich. I kept teaching because it was my passion, not because it was all I had. But after that public humiliation, I decided it was time for a lesson he would never forget. 2 days after his event, Dr. Sloan was hosting a prestigious medical conference, bigger than the last. 500 guests, more media coverage, and a segment dedicated to future-forward innovations in education. Do you know who the keynote speaker was supposed to be? A professor who canceled last minute. Guess who the board unanimously chose to replace him? Me. Not because of him. Not because I asked. But because the National Education Board recommended me. The same board he bragged about being on friendly terms with. He didn't even know yet. When I arrived at the venue, assistants rushed to get me wired with a mic, handed me a special badge, and walked me backstage. My father-in-law spotted me from across the hall and frowned like I was a stray animal blocking his sidewalk. "What are you doing here?" he snapped. "Working," I said, "at my real job." Before he could say anything, the event coordinator ran over. Mr. Lewis, our keynote speaker, Dr. Sloan, thank you for the wonderful recommendation." The color drained from his face. The coordinator continued way too loudly. "Your son-in-law's work in educational innovation is remarkable. You didn't tell us he was this accomplished." People around us paused. They looked. Whispers started. He swallowed hard. "Yes, well, of course. I always believed in him," he stammered. But karma wasn't done with him yet. When I stepped on stage, the entire auditorium applauded. Cameras flashed. Journalists scribbled. My father-in-law sat in the front row, hands folded, looking like he'd just swallowed a cactus. I opened my speech with a calm smile. 2 days ago, I said, I was introduced at an event as someone who didn't have a real job. Today, I stand here grateful to every teacher who shaped the world quietly, without applause. This, I gestured at the roaring room, is what a real job looks like. People clapped. Hard. Then I clicked the slideshow. The first slide appeared. The screaming headline from my viral course featured on major platforms. The second slide, official partnership contracts with national institutions. The third slide, student testimonials from around the world. Every slide was another punch to his ego. By the final one, the audience stood for a full standing ovation. But the best part? After the speech, the hospital's board chairman approached me. "We're looking to build an education partnership division. We'd like you to lead it. Full-time. Salary starts at triple the national average." My father-in-law's jaw dropped so low I could have hung my coat on it. Later, while guests lined up to take photos with me. He shuffled over, red-faced, voice cracking. I didn't know, he whispered. I didn't realize how important your work was. I looked him dead in the eyes. Teaching is a real job, I said. And today you learned that lesson for free. He said nothing. But every doctor, every guest, every colleague who had laughed at me 2 days earlier, they avoided eye contact with him for the rest of the night. That was the day he stopped mocking my career, and the day he finally understood, you should never underestimate a teacher.